So many, it's guys that that can't come out because of their image. You know what I'm saying? That'll make your eyes go.
Because my next guest just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence from Diddy's freak-offs and parties.
All right, buckle up, because this story dives into a world of glitz, power, and some downright bizarre situations that you won't believe. Picture this. Freddy P, one of the standout personalities from the MTV reality series Making the Band 2, has come forward with some jaw-dropping revelations about his time in the orbit of Sean Diddy Combs. And trust us, these aren't your typical behind-the-scenes anecdotes. We're talking about a glimpse into a world most of us can only imagine. A world where the lines between success, loyalty, and manipulation blur in ways that'll leave you scratching your head.
It's just my type of party, man. Just stay to yourself, mind your business. I'm not even looking at you, nasty bitch. Like, I'm just like, I know y'all not looking at me. You get what I'm saying? At that time, man, you just happy to smoke, man, in privacy, man. We were just happy to get away from everybody and get our yeah. Like, when I hear stuff about Puffy right now, I'm like, yo, how far this nigga came, because
Freddy P, who was part of Diddy's group Da Band, has always been vocal about his experiences, but his recent interviews have taken things to a whole new level. He's been spilling details about his encounters with Diddy, including one particular night that left him shaken and questioning everything. Now, Freddy isn't just some random guy off the street. He was handpicked to be part of Diddy's empire, and for a moment, he was living the dream. But that dream quickly turned into something else entirely.
My guy, Freddy P, man. Let's get right into it. Diddy, he got indicted. How you feel about that?
It was a surprise to me, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Let's set the scene. Freddy found himself at one of Diddy's infamous parties. And no, this wasn't just your average get-together with some music and hors d'oeuvres. We're talking about an atmosphere that could only be described as both dazzling and deeply unsettling. Freddy has described these gatherings as over-the-top spectacles where anything and everything seemed possible, or maybe even expected. The energy was electric, but beneath the glamour, there was something darker lurking. According to Freddy, one of the most shocking moments came when Diddy approached him directly. Freddy claims that Diddy, in his usual larger-than-life style, made a proposition that caught him completely off guard. Allegedly, Diddy offered Freddy a significant amount of money in exchange for what he called a favor. Freddy hasn't gone into explicit detail about what that favor entailed, but he made it clear that it was something that didn't sit right with him. Now, imagine being a young artist who's trying to make it big, and suddenly the person who holds the keys to your career is dangling opportunities in front of you, but with strings attached. It's a power dynamic that feels both intoxicating and terrifying.
Did in fact occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, of engaging and voluntarily engaging in this conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature.
Freddy's reaction? He turned Diddy down. He says he felt cornered but refused to compromise his principles, even if it meant risking his place in the group or his career altogether. It's a decision that clearly weighed heavily on him, and he's been open about how the experience left him feeling disillusioned. Freddy describes it as a moment where he realized that the industry wasn't just about talent or hard work. It was also about navigating a minefield of manipulation and control. But that's not all. Freddy has also shared details about the overall vibe of the party, and let's just say it wasn't your typical celebration. He described an environment where boundaries seemed non-existent and where certain behaviors were not only normalized but encouraged. Freddy has talked about seeing things that left him questioning the very nature of the industry he had worked so hard to be a part of. It wasn't just the excess or the eccentricity, it was the way people seemed to lose themselves in the pursuit of pleasing those at the top.
Me and you did so many interviews, I never got to ask you, have you ever been to a freak-off?
No. But what I can say, but I don't know, because I don't know what the freak-off look like, right? Right? Is it in a private house? Is it in a party or club? Because I've been to clubs where I walked in and people was doing and it was on behalf of Bad Boy.
One of the most unsettling aspects of Freddy's story is how he felt targeted by Diddy's advances. Freddy has recounted how Diddy would casually invade people's personal space and make comments that were anything but professional. He's even described moments where Diddy's behavior crossed lines that most people would consider unacceptable. Freddy has said that these experiences left him feeling deeply uncomfortable and ultimately led to his decision to distance himself from Diddy entirely. It wasn't an easy decision to make. Freddy has been candid about the internal struggle he faced. On one hand, walking away from Diddy meant potentially giving up everything he had worked so hard to achieve. On the other hand, staying meant compromising his values and subjecting himself to an environment that he found increasingly toxic. In the end, Freddy chose to walk away, even if it meant starting over from scratch.
But the way the club is, I can't lie. I'd rather say I always tell people, the reason I remember this night so well because this is how I prefer to party. Like I went in there, was swinging from the all over the place. It's people getting on. It's people like everybody in their own fucking world, right?
Freddy's revelations don't just stop at his personal experiences. He's also spoken out about what he believes is a pattern of behavior on Diddy's part. Freddy has alleged that Diddy has a history of exploiting those around him, particularly when they're at their most vulnerable. He's described how Diddy's charisma and influence can be both mesmerizing and dangerous, creating a dynamic where people feel compelled to say yes to things they would normally never agree to. Freddy's decision to speak out has opened the floodgates for others to share their own stories. There's a growing sense that Freddy's experiences are part of a larger pattern, one that has been hidden in plain sight for years. His willingness to go public has sparked conversations about power, control, and the darker side of the entertainment industry.
So that's the one time I could probably say I walked into a crazy party. But we came through the back door and it was a big ass club. Like, it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like some real freaky gothic shit. It was like some like I like though, because I like privacy. I like to party, but I want to be private. I don't want to be looked at. I don't want to have to watch you niggas all night.
Of course, Freddy's claims have been met with both support and skepticism. There are those who applaud his bravery and see his story as a necessary wake-up call. But there are also those who question his motives or accuse him of exaggerating for attention. Freddy, however, has remained steadfast in his account, insisting that he's only sharing the truth as he experienced it. What makes Freddy's story even more compelling is the way it contrasts with the carefully curated image that Diddy has projected over the years. Diddy is known for his larger-than-life persona, his business acumen, and his ability to turn virtually anything he touches into gold. He's a man who has built an empire on charisma and ambition. But Freddy's account paints a different picture, one of a man who uses his power in ways that are far from glamorous.
What was Puffy doing at the party?
Oh, that had done disappeared. He had like his own little section though. Like it was like me, Jadakiss. It was D Block, I think. All us is over here smoking, gambling and shit. I think. It was like white girls here, and it was like some bitches fucking right here. Hard on scissoring, like white girls though.
Freddy's revelations have also added fuel to the fire of ongoing rumors about Diddy's behavior. Over the years, there have been whispers and allegations about the way Diddy operates behind closed doors. Freddy's story seems to align with some of those rumors, lending them a new level of credibility. It's a reminder that even the most successful and seemingly untouchable figures have their shadows. In the wake of Freddy's revelations, there's been a renewed focus on the culture of the music industry and the way power dynamics play out. Freddy's story is just one of many, but it serves as a powerful example of the challenges faced by those who dare to speak out. It's a story of courage, resilience, and the refusal to be silenced. So what do we make of all this? Is Freddy P's account a damning indictment of Diddy's behavior, or is it just one side of a complicated story? Whatever the case may be, one thing is clear. Freddy's decision to speak out has forced us to take a closer look at the industry and the people who hold the power within it. And as more details continue to emerge, it's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore the questions that Freddy's story raises about the cost of fame, the nature of loyalty, and the true price of success.
Yeah, you see the like, you feel me? Like that type of party, like they don't hide it. They like everybody having fun. Everything was just fun. So I don't know if it was freak off or what.
As Freddy himself has said, this isn't just about his experience, it's about a culture that allows these kinds of dynamics to flourish. His story is a call to action, a reminder that change begins with speaking out, even when it's uncomfortable or risky. And with every new revelation, the spotlight on Diddy grows brighter, casting long shadows on a legacy that once seemed untouchable. But hold on, because this is just the beginning. Freddy's revelations are only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the controversies surrounding Diddy. As we dig deeper into the allegations and rumors, the story takes a turn that's even more shocking, more complex, and frankly, almost too unbelievable to be true. Stay tuned because things are about to get even more intense.
The way they describe it as if it was like in a house, no, it was a club, back doors, secure, like presidential level entry. Like the line was over here, we over here, coming through the back alley like on some New York PD TV that I grew up watching on. Like I was like, yo, I see this on TV.
All right, let's dive even deeper into this rabbit hole because if you thought the first part of this story was shocking, get ready, things are about to get even wilder. Freddy P's revelations were just the beginning of a much larger, darker narrative that seems to be unraveling around Sean Diddy Combs. While Freddy's account opened the door to understanding what might go on behind the scenes of the glitzy world of music and fame, the recent string of accusations and legal troubles surrounding Diddy has turned this once untouchable mogul's life into a public spectacle. And it's not just about one or two incidents, it's starting to look like a pattern. Let's start with the bombshell that really shook the industry, Diddy's arrest. It was the kind of moment that felt surreal. Here's a man who's been on top of the world for decades, suddenly facing allegations that could bring everything crashing down. The charges? Incredibly serious. Authorities allege that Diddy orchestrated a web of misconduct that spanned years, maybe even decades. The details are staggering, painting a picture of someone who allegedly used his influence and resources to maintain an empire built on more than just music.
We're monitoring another push to free Sean Diddy Combs tonight, with his legal team citing new evidence in an updated bail proposal. The music mogul agreeing to around-the-clock security and cutting out contact with basically anyone but his legal team to get out of jail ahead of his trial scheduled for May of next year for charges he allegedly coerced and abused women for years.
One of the most jaw-dropping claims involves something called freak-offs. If you're wondering what that means, you're not alone. The term itself sounds like something out of a wild Hollywood script, but according to prosecutors, it refers to elaborate gatherings where participants were allegedly coerced into activities they didn't fully agree to. These weren't just casual get-togethers. They were said to be meticulously planned events designed to cater to Diddy's whims. And here's where it gets even messier. There are allegations that people were flown in specifically for these gatherings with promises of opportunities or financial incentives. But once they arrived, the story allegedly took a much darker turn.
Still pretty early in the proceedings. I think it's only been about a month or a month and a half since he's been arraigned and held in detention. And so the investigations are always going to be a continuous and ongoing process. I'm sure at this point there's been an exchange of discovery. And not only that, but I think there's been a gag order placed on the attorneys with information that they can and cannot share. But more importantly,
prosecutors claim that these gatherings were more than just over-the-top parties. They were a tool for control. The accusations suggest that Diddy used his vast resources and connections to create an environment where people felt pressured to go along with whatever was happening. And if they didn't, well, the consequences were said to be severe. There are stories of intimidation, threats, and even violence, all allegedly aimed at ensuring silence and compliance. It's a chilling narrative that makes you wonder just how much power one person can wield. And it doesn't stop there. One of the most talked about incidents involved surveillance footage from a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. The footage, which has since been leaked, allegedly shows Diddy in a heated altercation with his former partner Cassie Ventura. The images are hard to watch, allegedly showing someone being shoved, dragged, and struck. Following the release of this footage, Diddy issued a statement acknowledging the incident, but the damage was already done. It added fuel to the fire of ongoing accusations and painted a picture of someone with a history of troubling behavior.
Everybody familiar with the old Houdini? So what Diddy's lawyers are trying to do is pull a Houdini. They're trying to say that the evidence that they have is different. Well, it's not different. The video that the entire world has seen is not going to go away. The fact that he had parties that were freak-offs is not going away. So it's just a question of whether or not Diddy is able to make bond.
But this isn't just about individual incidents, it's about a larger pattern that's starting to emerge. Over the past year, a wave of lawsuits has been filed against Diddy, each one adding another layer to an already complicated story. These lawsuits span decades and involve individuals from all walks of life, from former employees to artists who once considered Diddy a mentor. The common thread? Allegations of manipulation, control, and abuse of power. Take the case of Rodney Jones Jr., a former producer who worked closely with Diddy on a recent album. Jones has alleged that Diddy pressured him into uncomfortable situations, including engaging in activities he didn't want to participate in. According to Jones, these weren't isolated incidents, but part of a larger culture that surrounded Diddy's operations. He described an environment where saying no wasn't an option, and where compliance often came at a personal cost.
Everyone keeps saying to me, like, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
Then there's the story of Crystal McKinney, a former model who has accused Diddy of inappropriate behavior during a recording session in the early 2000s. McKinney's allegations are startling, involving claims of intimidation and a misuse of authority. She described feeling powerless in a situation where the stakes were incredibly high, her career, her reputation, and her safety all hanging in the balance. And let's not forget the unsettling comparisons being drawn between Diddy and other infamous figures who have faced similar accusations. Some have likened his alleged behavior to that of Jeffrey Epstein, pointing out parallels in the way power and influence were allegedly used to exploit others. These comparisons are, of course, deeply controversial, but they speak to the gravity of the accusations and the public's growing fascination with the case.
And he is very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, it is scary, because you think, this person, or possibly his social network or the people he's around, could make or break your career.
One of the most intriguing aspects of this saga is the way it ties into the larger narrative of Diddy's career. Over the years, he's been portrayed as a larger-than-life figure, a mogul who could do no wrong. His success stories are legendary, from launching the careers of some of the biggest names in music to building a billion-dollar brand that extended far beyond the recording studio. But as these allegations come to light, they cast a shadow over that legacy, forcing fans and critics alike to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about him. The fallout has been swift and far-reaching. Diddy's business ventures have taken a hit, with some companies distancing themselves from him entirely. Former collaborators are speaking out, sharing their own stories, or simply expressing their shock at the revelations. And the public? Well, the court of public opinion is as divided as ever. Some are quick to condemn, while others are calling for patience and due process. It's a polarizing situation that has sparked heated debates across social media and beyond.
If you say the wrong thing, or you complain, or I don't know, there's an element where you're just, I guess manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing, or when they're constantly asking, would you like to do drugs? And you're like, well, I don't do drugs. And they're like, well, why don't you do drugs?
What makes this story even more complex is the sheer scale of the investigation. Authorities have reportedly gathered mountains of evidence, from witness testimonies to digital records. There are rumors of seized devices, encrypted messages, and even financial transactions that could shed light on the allegations. It's a sprawling case that spans multiple jurisdictions, involving agencies from coast to coast. And while Diddy has denied all wrongdoing, the sheer volume of accusations makes it hard to ignore the possibility that there's more to this story than meets the eye. Adding another layer to the narrative are the long-standing rumors about Diddy's involvement in the infamous East Coast-West Coast rivalry of the 1990s. For years, there have been whispers that he played a role in some of the most shocking events of that era, including the untimely passing of Shakur. While no concrete evidence has ever surfaced to support these claims, they've become part of the mythology surrounding Diddy's career. And now, with his current legal troubles making headlines, those old rumors are being dredged up once again, adding fuel to an already blazing fire.
I don't know the consequences of what that could have been. So I didn't really talk about it. I should have gone to the police. I should have said something other than to my agent. I'm just thankful that there was somebody there. There was somebody at that party who helped me, because I could have ended up in a really bad situation.
As we look at the bigger picture, it's clear that this story is about more than just one man. It's about the culture of an industry that has long been plagued by allegations of exploitation and abuse. It's about the way power can be used to silence and control, creating an environment where speaking out feels impossible. And it's about the reckoning that seems to be unfolding before our eyes, a moment where the walls of secrecy are starting to crumble, revealing a truth that many have long suspected but few have dared to confront. So where does this leave us? Is Diddy the mastermind behind a web of misconduct, as some are claiming? Or is he the victim of a coordinated effort to bring him down, as his defenders insist? The truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. What's clear is that this story is far from over. With ongoing investigations, pending court cases, and new revelations emerging almost daily, it feels like we're only scratching the surface of a narrative that's as complex as it is disturbing.
He was using, allegedly, these events to invite them back to these private mansion parties and hotel parties and God knows what else. But he was utilizing the branded events to be able to, get the girls to come over to his private spaces.
As we wait for more answers, one thing is certain: the world will be watching. Diddy's case has become a lightning rod for conversations about accountability, power, and the dark side of fame. It's a story that forces us to ask tough questions, not just about him, but about the industry and the culture that allowed this to happen. And as the spotlight continues to shine on one of the most influential figures in music history, it's clear that this is a moment of reckoning that will leave no one untouched. What do you think? Could this be the unraveling of an empire, or is there more to the story than we know? Let us know your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious.